Kung hindi dahil sa pera ko,
It's really hard to explain how an actor works. Basta just know that what we try to do is to give life to a certain character. You'll open yourself up and become so vulnerable and allow yourself to feel so many emotions. Ako si Iza Calzado, and I am an actress. Lumaki ako sa industriya dahil sa tatay ko na si Iza Calzado, who was a dancer, choreographer, stage director. Lumaki ako sa set ng mga variety shows. Siyempre, dahil doon, nakatingala ako sa mga bituin. Growing up, I did want to be an artista, a performer, and I loved to dance. So that was, I guess, the natural talent that I exhibited. And then I did a few acting gigs, a few TV shows, yung mga guestings, and then 2 films. I guess things were happening at home that maybe felt na hindi mo na i-continue yung pangarap until yun, such time na parang it felt like it wasn't something reachable. So I was gaining weight as the years would go by. I would get heavier by the day. And parang mag-artista kung mataba ka. And so I guess that narrative was in my head. Eventually, nung high school ako, I felt na hindi ko siya pangarap. Alam mo yung when something feels so unattainable, you'll say hindi mo siya gusto. Just so hindi ka masaktan. But then, of course, I guess when something's meant for you, it will really be for you and it will find its way to you at the right time. So when I was 19, I landed a commercial. And then shortly after, I started doing a teleserye, and then the rest is history. Kahit konting acting workshop, wala ako nung nagsimula ako. So lahat ito ay natutunan ko sa set. So I learned by doing. And I'm just grateful na marami akong mga direktor, kapwa-artista, na nakasama, na nagturo sa akin. Then eventually, nakapag-workshop din ako. Konti-konti, hindi regularly. Yung process ko, meron ako natutunan dito. Ito, try ko i-apply. Okay, nag-work. So ngayon siguro, ang unang-una dyan, syempre, yun naman yung role mo. So kikilalanin mo. Aalamin ko yung character. Hindi mo i-judge yung character. Iintindihin mo talaga. You empathize with the character until you find things na, okay, nakaka-relate ako dito sa aspeto ng character nito. Then, okay, then you get to the set and you let go of it. From head to foot, kailangan maging ako siya. And I think where I'm at now, kung hindi mo kilala yung sarili mo, mas mahirap gampanan ang buhay ng ibang tao. As an actor kasi, you become another person. But then how do you let go of you when you don't know who you are? Maganda din siya kasi I think as a human being, part of our evolution, diba, is self-realization, self-discovery. What's nice is as I get wiser, aka older, the more that I understand myself, the more that I'm getting to know myself, I feel the more that I am able to do my job better. Definitely for me, few stand out. Like Milan, kasi it was the first time I felt na, wow, this is acting. Kasi si Inang Olive Lamasan talagang tinutukan niya ako. Tapos 2 days lang ako doon. And in that 1-day shoot, yung saan yung heavy drama ko, I stayed in character almost the whole day. That was the only time ever, mostly, na I was in character the whole day. And sabi ko, ang bigat. So that to me was like, ay, gusto ko to. Yun yung eureka moment ko gusto ko to. Gusto kong umarte. Kung ito ang acting, I wanna do this. And I wanna be able to do this. Well, I wanna be able to do this. Alam mo yun, parang gusto kong maging mahusay dito. I transferred to ABS-CBN in 2012. That was me longing for growth. The shows that I did there that are special to me, I love to last because I love the character so much, si Grace. Parang ang timpla niya kasi totoo. And then we just recently wrapped up Ang Sa'yo Ay Akin, which is also very special to me. Of course, I loved my character there, but I also really loved my tandem with Judy Santamaria. Like how we really just gave each other good energy, and then our directors guided us really well, and just shooting it, filming it at the time of a pandemic when the franchise was taken away. It was just a very special show. It entertained people at a time when they needed to be entertained. In terms of films, nakagawa naman ako ng Starting Over Again with Piolo and Tony. So to this day, I am Mama Mary, but binabali ko siya. You know, sometimes it's hard, like, guys, I'm human. And kasi ang ganda nung setup to that eh. It's a very special project. Another very special project for me was Bliss, which we shot in 2016 and then was shown in 2017. Nahirapan ako talaga doon physically. It was taxing. Special siya kasi it was a psychological thriller, and at that time I really wanted to do one. And super nag-click kami ni Gerald Tarog, the director. We got to compete in Osaka. I won for the film. Always wanted, of course, to win outside of the Philippines. These are dreams, di ba? Yung parang siguro one day, ano kayang feeling nun? So I won. And of course, I was elated. I was so happy and grateful.
Award-winning actress, Iza Calzado.
Success without purpose is meaningless if you're not using what you've been given to create an impact in another person's life. She Talks Asia is a women empowerment platform, and how do we empower women? By sharing their stories and creating a safe space for them to do so. Hopefully, in doing so, we learn from each other, we heal ourselves, and we get to help in the healing of others. I wasn't an original founder. It was started by Vicky Herrera, Lynn Pinugu, Sarah Meyer in 2017. And when they were doing that, Sarah asked me for a plug. And biniro ko siya, sabi ko, bakit di ako kasama dyan? But that to me was a question for myself. What was I doing with my life or with my story? I had to check, what was I doing with my platform? It made me reflect. Esakto kasi, my story is that, you know, I was obese before, and then I lost weight. So I was at that time struggling with my weight. Very, very insecure, to be honest. And I knew na I was working on it, and I could see people around me who were also struggling with the same thing. And I wanted to take that theme and talk about it in schools for young girls. Thankfully, I found She Talks Asia, found a group of women that I could see from the very beginning I could learn from and grow with. I reached out to them and I said I wanted to do a body love conference. And so it was going to be She Talks Asia and Iza Calzado. Collab, ganun. So nagme-meeting kami, nagpe-pitch kami sa mga brands. I realized, teka lang, di nila ako maging part ng She Talks Asia. So eventually, we formed She Talks Asia. There's 5 of us. My very first summit with them was March 2018. Of the same year, our theme was Body Love, so we did a Body Love conference as well. We named that the Body Love Revolution. So I really feel like I've learned and I've grown so much because of this group. It really helped me with my own body love journey. Authentically sharing my story and hearing the stories of other women, it helped. I think it was collective healing. I eventually embraced also all the things that I was hiding before, all the physical flaws I was so afraid people would see. Mental health became our theme the next year, and so I openly shared also the story of my mom. So I'm glad that because of She Talks, I found a platform again to where I can authentically share that story. I guess it's really been helpful, and hopefully we've also helped others in their own healing journey. How can you empower others if you are not empowered yourself? I think that's how it is, right? You always need to start with yourself. Even loving yourself is important. Self-love is so important, and we talk about that so much now because you really cannot love others. You're not able to love yourself first. You cannot be compassionate towards others if you're not compassionate towards yourself.
I love your humor, your gentle soul,
Well, Ben and I met in 2011 at the launch of the magazine I hosted. He was a guest, and then I saw him, he saw me, and then he asked people about me. So Bel Daza brought him to me, tapped me on my shoulder, and when I turned, sabi niya, Iza, Ben, Iza, single, single. Obviously good looking, but of course, deeper than that, he's a good man. He works hard, disciplined. We like the same activities, eat healthy together, and we also indulge together. I am very close with his family. He's adventurous. He likes all these outdoor stuff. So before him, I had never dated anybody who was as adventurous. To me, that's all new. And then he loves to travel. Yung makati yung paa, yung sinasabi nila, ganyan. Tsaka pag dumating kayo sa place, explore, 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 explore. So, which is not how I am. So, it's nice to be with someone like that. We both naman always showed who we were. Like, we didn't hide certain things about ourselves. From day one, I always told him, like, this is how I am. From day one, I always saw also how he was. I think every relationship is unique. One thing lang is try and just be aware and conscious and try to stay true to who you are. And again, compassion is very important because you really have to try to understand the other person and vice versa. Communication is important. Know who you are, and you know your relationship is something that's very uniquely yours. The pandemic is really a challenging thing. I hear so many stories of struggle and suffering at the moment. And I think we just have to recognize that right now, that it's a tough time for everybody. And when you understand that, I think you become kinder. In March 2020, I first experienced like coughing around March 13 yata. And then I thought it was just the flu. I was in denial. Well, we didn't know much about the coronavirus at that time. After a few days, I was certain that I had no exposure to anybody with COVID. So how could it be COVID? But then it was just getting worse by the day. The doctor already said, all your symptoms are pointing towards COVID. But of course, we can't find out right away because we'll know the results days from now pa. But they started treating me as a COVID patient. And then I thought, okay, I'm in the hospital, I'll get better. But it wasn't the case. Nag-dip. I thought I was going to be sent to the ICU. It was a very scary time because I didn't know, like, tomorrow will I get better or will it get worse? Ito na ba yun? Yung parang, hanggang dito na lang ba? Really made me question a lot of things. How I was living my life. I was so exhausted and depleted. I pushed my body too hard. And so that's why I was there. It was an awakening. The entertainment industry has been badly hit. Now you have to go into taping bubbles and you have to stay in one place, and then pag may isang nag-positive, stop taping. It's a very tough time to do that. And our show, we started it pre-pandemic, and then of course all shows stopped, diba? We were one of the few shows that had a more simple plot and could be executed nang mas madali i-shoot with indoors, dun sa hotel. Kumbaga, hindi siya masyadong maraming cast. We were given the green light. We started our first taping bubble July 2020. And buti na lang, the protocols were really observed by our production team. And malasakit is a word that I could use for the production that we had. May malasakit sa isa't isa. Ano man ang mangyari, basta kasama ko ang mga mahal ko sa buhay, masaya ang Pasko. Food has always been a big part of my life. Siyempre, there always has to be ham. Growing up, there was like ensaymada, spaghetti, embutido. Yun yung mga pagkain nung lumalaki ako eh. My parents are no longer with us, so sometimes it takes certain kinds of food that kind of make me feel that my parents are still around. Your sense of taste really brings back memories. Definitely. Nung lumalaki ako, pure foods was a staple in our household. Hot dogs, of course, yung ham nga, and corned beef. Yun yung mga paborita natin na pure foods product. So when I think of pure foods, I think of my childhood. I think of my parents. I think of fun times. Nakakatuwa kasi ang ganda nung advocacy na let's share with others. Last year, nag-share na ako for our staff, ganyan, dun sa show. My co-stars. Naisip talaga namin, umigay ng Noche Buena package. And I think, kasi sa gitna ng pandemya lalo, you just wanna make sure that every household or the people that you know have something to eat. A Noche Buena meal. Kasi every household deserves that. Ang maganda dun sa advocacy ng Pure Foods ngayon is we're really encouraging people to share the blessings that they have with others. Kasi as low as 800 pesos, pwede ka nang bumili ng Noche Buena package para sa mga mahal mo sa buhay, di ba? Para sa mga nangangailangan. At syempre, alam nating Pasko, pero hindi naman kasi natitigil ang mundo natin dahil Pasko. Actually, mas nagiging busy tayo. Mas maraming demands kasi Christmas season, diba? Now, Pure Foods has its line of ready-to-eat, RTE, food. And ang dami talagang viands. May kare-kare, may pork binagoongan. Ang dami. Crispy fried chicken, may kaldereta. It's so many to choose from. And madali nang kainin. Syempre, maraming on the go, katulad ko, ang dami kong ginagawa sa isang araw. It really helps make life easier for everybody. Because the brand is so strong, San Miguel and Pure Foods, kumbaga, it has really grown so much through the years. And they know that with great power comes great responsibility. It's really nice that they recognize the blessings that have come their way and that they're willing to share it, generously sharing it with others. Kasi diba, success without purpose is meaningless. And I believe that the brand understands this. That's why they share so much of what they have. They can't just keep it, diba? It's actually when you share it that the abundance is felt all around us. And it goes to show kung ano yung values ng kumpanya. And nung leaders niya. And for me, it's great to be associated with this brand, of course. I'm very honored. And I guess we espouse the same values of sharing. Where sharing is caring. I mean, paano mo mapapakita yung pagmamalasakit mo sa kapwa-tao mo? You share. For some, it's time. For some, it's financial. For some, love. Iba-iba But that's how you show how much you care for another person.